Who is this?
Who's this?
This is Danny from City Pages.
Hey, Danny, this is Tommy Thayer.
Okay, we got you on now. Great. I sorry we missed your call.
No, I just tried to call, and I was going to try again, but...
Yeah. Well, where are you right now?
Oh, we're in Connecticut, in a place called Uncasville, I should say, where the Mohegan Sun, casino... it's where the Mohegan Sun.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we're playing here tonight. Played in Saratoga Springs night before last, and Scranton, PA, the night before that.
Okay. Oh, great. Well, thanks for doing this. I'm recording this, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
And I might want to use the audio for something at some point, so just FYI.
Okay.
But, I'm doing this piece on KISS fans, mostly local fans. I'm in Minnesota.
Right.
And the State Fair gig is coming up in September, so...
Yeah.
Imagine, we're 2 days before the gig or something.
Okay.
So, the State Fair, you've been doing a lot of these State Fair shows, and it seems like, sometimes with these types of events, they're kind of centered around each city or state or that kind of thing. What can you say about Minnesota as far as past experiences, or if you have any childhood memories or anything of state fairs and that kind of thing?
Well, I think the state fair concept has really changed in recent years. I mean, it used to be more, just kind of a rural, event where, people come to the state fair, usually in the state capital area of the state. But as far as us doing gigs, in the last couple of years, these state fair shows have actually turned into be huge, stadium type, gigs. And so, on the surface, when you hear state fair, you think, oh, what's that? But, we played, for instance, last week in Indianapolis, at the fairgrounds there, and there's probably 20,000 people there, and did another one in Minot, North Dakota, and Cheyenne, Wyoming a couple weeks ago, and they're just equally huge, and the crowds were ecstatic. So these are great gigs to do, and so I just, as an overview, I think the state fair and doing gigs there where they have A-level type bands and entertainment, it's amazing the lineups they have at these things now. So it's a great gig, and I went to the state fair. I grew up in the Portland, Oregon area, so we'd go to the state fair sometimes back in the day.
Yeah,
it was in Salem, Oregon, which is the state capital in Salem of Oregon. So it was always an exciting time, especially for kids. And the great thing with KISS these days is that not only have your the KISS faithful for years and years, but we're taking on, there's an insurgence of younger fans now, and it's really multi-generational. I mean, you've got teenagers, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, across the board, you have people parents coming and bringing their kids, and you have rock and roll, teenage fans and people in their 20s that are just into great rock and roll and great spectacle. So it's across the board as far as who's coming to the shows these days.
Yeah, it's sort of like the state fair isn't just about livestock anymore. There's sort of a lot of civic pride and national pride, and it's got to be really cool to be a part of that.
Well, it is. It's very it's a very all-American kind of feeling, and people love it. KISS fits perfectly into that, of course.
A big part of what I've been interviewing people about around here, some of the more notable people and some local bands, and their love for KISS, how they kind of it opened them up to music and that kind of thing.
Sure.
Obviously, you're a member of KISS and an official member, but I would assume you were definitely a fan at one point. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, actually, I still am a huge KISS fan.
Well, of course, yeah.
Take pride. The only difference is I'm in the band now.
Yeah, but, they're paying you to say that now.
Yeah. No, I'd still say whether I was getting paid or not. But the great thing is that I grew up, like I said, in Portland, and I was a big, huge KISS fan from the early days back in the early 70s when Kiss came out with their first record in 1974. I asked my parents if I could get it for Christmas in 1974, and I did. Mm-hmm. They're immediately one of my favorite bands, and always have been. It's what Kiss represented and what they looked like, and what their stage show was, and just the whole vibe of the band was everything that wrapped up into what I thought was the coolest thing going. It was theatrical, it was loud, it was rock and roll, it was flamboyant, it was great guitars, lots of amplifiers on stage, things blowing up, great songs, great music. It's, everything that, anybody could ever want in a band. Mm-hmm. And I think that was their credo when they started, was they wanted to create the band that nobody had seen before, and that's exactly what they did. So
yeah,
and it's you're right. I mean, Kiss's influence on just people in general, but not only people in general, but people and their kind of their philosophy of life, and it's kind of follow your dreams, follow your passions, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise is kind of the philosophy behind Kiss, and then just musically as a band, they've influenced so many. Kiss has influenced so many artists and people coming up that are musicians and big name people today that
And is that would you credit them to inspiring you to play guitar in the first place when you first got into the band?
I think that there might have been a little influence of, it was Kiss, and then there was other bands too, and
who else were you into?
Oh, back in the day it was Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and Kiss and Aerosmith and and so on. So but I just when every kid turns 13, 14 years old, suddenly your life is changing. I mean, you're finding out about rock and roll and going to concerts and girls. Everything's going on, and playing guitar and the electric guitar in particular was something that caught my attention immediately. Mm-hmm. When that was all happening, and I wanted to play guitar. So main reason I wanted to play guitar was because it looked so cool.
Yeah.
You get up there on stage with long hair and wearing some kind of cool clothes, and you got this electric guitar kind of slung down low. You couldn't do any better than that as far as I was concerned.
One thing I've been asking everybody is there's a sort of the same four questions. This first question might be kind of an obvious answer, but you never know. You might surprise me. Which character in Kiss is your favorite?
Well, initially when I first saw pictures and saw the band, the first time I ever saw Kiss was in a magazine called Circus magazine.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I used to go to the newsstand at the grocery store, and that's where I first saw a picture of Kiss, and I was like, oh man, these guys are amazing. They looks amazing. And I think at first it was Gene Simmons, because he's kind of got that signature tongue and the demon, and I think I was taken with that. I mean, initially that's the first thing you see. And that's the first thing I saw when I was a kid. But then soon after that, I appreciated everybody, in Kiss. Back then I loved them all. The thing that was great about Kiss is that you had these four characters, and each one was just as strong as the other one.
Yeah.
It was like, a four-wheel drive going together, barreling down the road. I mean, it's like, the only other bands that are like that are maybe the Beatles, where, you got John, Paul, George, and Ringo,
Yeah.
There's not too many bands like that, where you have four distinct characters, individuals on stage that everybody likes, almost just as much as the other. I mean, you have your favorites, but everybody's very there and in front. Everybody sings, lead vocals, everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody has their spotlight, and I miss that with other bands, and
sure.
That's the great thing about Kiss.
Yeah, it's a good thing to be a part of as well, I'm sure. The other question, your favorite album? And you can't say Sonic Boom.
My favorite album, Sonic Boom. No, I know. Actually, my favorite Kiss records were the first 3 or 4 records. I mean, you had the Kiss self-titled record, then Hotter Than Hell, then you had Dress to Kill, and then Kiss Alive.
Yeah.
First Kiss Alive. And those 4 albums to me, were really kind of what became me and became, a big part of what I'm all about. And particularly just because when I got the records, I was at that age where this is the greatest thing that there is, and certainly from a guitar standpoint, the guitar on those records and the parts and everything were just big influence to me when I was first sitting down trying to learn how to play guitar and trying to figure out songs. So there's a special magical kind of part of that and those records that have always been with me, and it's just a big part of what I'm all about.
Yeah, of course. Your first Kiss show that you saw?
First Kiss show I saw was in early 1976 in Portland. I saw them at the Memorial Coliseum. There was a southern rock group called Point Blank opening, and this is on the Kiss Alive tour, and it was at that point it was the highlight of my life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
No.
One last general question: your favorite lyric that you can think of? Is there one that kind of sticks out? Maybe every time you play it, that you kind of touches you in a certain way, or that I don't know.
Let me think. There's so many.
Or what's the one that that cracks you up every time? It's kind of so out there and ridiculous,
Well, some of Gene's lyrics do that to me.
Yeah.
If you're talking about calling Dr. Love, and if you read those lyrics, it'll definitely put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
For starters. So
exactly. All right. Some other stuff. Maybe kind of. There's probably questions you get every time. Some of the, maybe I guess you could call it controversy. I don't think I personally have a problem with it, but I know some people get a little up in arms about, Ace, and that you still play you're playing the character that Ace used to play, so to speak.
Right.
What are your feelings about that? I don't know if you've...
Well, I've been a lead guitarist in Kiss for
almost 10 years.
Yeah, and I understand initially people kind of having that reaction, and it would only be natural. I'd probably almost have the same reaction initially that some of the longest running fans have had. But I think over time
you've earned your stripes.
Yeah, I've earned my stripes. I think I've solidified my spot, and particularly with Sonic Boom and singing, writing, and recording songs that I'm directly a part of now in this incarnation of the band. And I think that it's okay. I really do. I mean, for people to feel passionate one way or another, I mean, it just shows you how much they really care about Kiss, almost more so than you'd see with the average fan. I say that Kiss fans are the epitome of fanatic, which is where fan comes from. They're over the top. I mean, when you start having people showing up for 200 plus shows, and they count them, and it's really almost a religious experience, for some people, and it gets pretty crazy. But but it doesn't bother me. I mean, I know where I stand, and I feel like I've good things take time here, and initially it was big shoes, or tall shoes, I should say, to step into to begin with. But so it's only natural initially that you had a lot of that, and over the years it's really almost gone away. I haven't seen much of that anymore. I mean, there's still some talk, there's some blogs and things, but but people can't argue the fact that, especially when they hear a record like Sonic Boom, or if they've seen the band now with the lineup that it is now for 8 or 10 years, that it's undeniable that people can't say, "Oh, that sucked." It's to be honest, it seems like it's almost completely the other direction, where people are like saying this is the most potent version the band has ever been in, the most potent version of the band that they've seen, and it is. It's lethal, and it's over the top, and we're out there, doing it every night to the nth degree.
And I mean, I think people as fans, like, who wouldn't want to be in Kiss if they had the chance? So
that's the other thing, and there's a whole debate on I've heard people even say, I wouldn't, if I wouldn't do that, or it's disrespectful or something. I don't really get that, because really Kiss is based on these 4 characters, and after 35 years plus, you don't start changing things like that,
Right.
At one point the band did, at one point the band did make some changes, but that was only 10 years into their career. Everybody has to remember that was, at the beginning of the 1980s or even the late 1970s. So that was a long time ago. And if anybody understands this stuff correctly, if you have a brand like Kiss and a band like Kiss, you don't start changing things like that after 35 years. It'd be suicide. And that's just the way it is. And if people don't understand that, then they don't understand much.
Yeah. What are some of the feelings about have you seen Ace perform in the last few years? Like, I saw him a couple years ago, and I was really impressed. I was really surprised. Have you had any chance to hear his new stuff or see him play?
I've checked out his record. I think it's pretty cool, and I've always been a fan, and certainly from the get-go in the early years, and so that's. We saw Ace at the Rock Honors, VH1 Rock Honors show 2006, years ago, but, I've always been a fan. I think he's, great, and it's an honor for me to have filled his shoes now, and
his space boots.
The space boots, space boots, so,
it's
nothing but good stuff to say about Ace.
It's kind of become such a big family now with all the characters through the years. What's in the future? I mean, it seems like you guys have been just touring like crazy since last year.
We've actually been touring like crazy now for 2.5 years. This thing really started in Melbourne in early '08.
Wow.
And, we played the big outdoor show there. It was almost 100,000 people at the Melbourne Grand Prix, and that's where things kicked off. And we've been through, this is the second time through North America.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to Europe twice, and South America, and then Canada once or twice, and it's just been overwhelming, the response and how good this has been. I mean, once the tour started, like I said, 2.5 years ago, and once we were doing, the Live 35 tour, it became evident that this band needs to get into the studio and record a record.
Yeah.
Whereas Paul and Gene originally, as you probably know, said that we probably won't do that again because there's no reason to, but suddenly there became a reason.
Yeah.
And it's a real honest, kick you in the butt reason.
I think people were really surprised, how at the results. I think, people don't necessarily expect very much at this point, but when you come out with something as solid as Sonic Boom, it seems like it's given the band some more momentum.
Well, the thing that works so well with that is when a band has been around for over 35 years, and you've seen bands that have come out with records, a lot of times it's kind of like, what, and it doesn't really feel right, or it's like kind of confusing, or you're like, it doesn't have the real feel of what the band is, was originally about, and it's kind of a glossed over, kind of version of something, and I think that the great thing about doing Sonic Boom was that the way we approached this record, and I've been doing this for a while, the way we approached it was totally like a younger, almost new band, really, because we just got together at each other's houses or on the road in the hotel rooms, and just the band members, not outside writers. We didn't have an agenda like to write a hit song or have a radio song come out. We didn't care. It was just about, let's write some great rock and roll songs.
Yeah.
Let's come up with some great riffs and some cool, lyrics that, are just rock and roll, and just stuff that we really love, and that just kind of comes organically when you just kind of sit down with the guitar. And we didn't demo any songs, because a lot of times, you get into the game of, I'm sure you make a demo and then you try to beat the demo and you got blah, blah, blah. Didn't even go there, we just wrote songs, wrote riffs, came up with ideas, just put them on a little recorder, and then the next week we went to this rehearsal room with the band and just went through the tunes. And in the meantime, nobody's hearing the music. We didn't play it for anybody like, what do you think, or here's play for your manager
and that kind of thing.
No, or we didn't have a record label that we had to answer to, so we did it totally organically on our own, completely. It was just really from the gut and really honest in that respect. And I don't know if people believe this, but it's really the way we did it, you know, and that's why it came out so cool and just rock and roll. And
probably for you personally, that meant a lot since like your first actually recorded stuff with the band.
Oh, exactly, you know, and even when we went to the studio, you know, we didn't do anything fancy, you know, we actually recorded on analog tape, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just, you know, recorded 2 or 3 takes at the most, and just like what you would have done, you know, the way you should do it.
The way they did it when they first started, yeah.
And didn't try to make everything perfect and all that kind of stuff. And it just, you know, that's why it turned out so great, and that's why it feels right.
Sure.
And that's when people really, I think people, you know, feel that way too. I mean, they you know, it hits them that way. And that's the greatest feeling, to know that you pull that off, and it can be done that way if you do it right. You know?
Yeah, that's really cool. Back to the kind of the theme of this piece, I'm talking about, you know, a lot about fans, and I wanted you to tie in some of the stuff with the Wounded Warriors project that I know you guys are very active with. Has there been any opportunity to meet some of the KISS fans that are benefiting from the Wounded Warriors?
Yes. As a matter of fact,
good stories there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know the background behind this is $1 from every ticket we're donating to the Wounded Warrior Care Project, and we, well, there's a couple things. You know, we've always been big supporters of our country and our military and people that make the sacrifices to secure our liberties and security and freedom that we have. You know, and so that's important to all of us, and it's not just a soundbite. I mean, we really mean it. So, you know, a couple years ago, Gene and I went down and with his TV show and did a whole thing down at Camp Pendleton. You know, for the actually 4 branches of the military were represented down there, and we did this kind of a mini USO show. And I don't know if you ever saw that on TV, but we rewrote all the themes from the Marines and the Army and the Air Force, kind of rocked them out and did kind of a sing-along with all the troops down there, and it was awesome. And even a couple of years before that, I'm just giving you a little background that we've been doing these things and being supportive, you know, because it means a lot to us. 2 or 3, 4 years ago, we went down and did this thing called Rockin' the Core, and we headlined this big show down at Camp Pendleton on the beach. And there's probably 80,000 people, you know, Marines, their families, everybody. You know, these were for the returning troops from Iraq at the time. And so anyway, we get to the Wounded Warriors thing last fall when we were playing in Atlanta. We stopped off in Augusta, Georgia on the way, and there's the VA hospital there. It's one of the premier VA hospitals in the country, and we visited there, and a lot of these guys were KISS fans. I mean, they were so excited when we came in, and you know, they have the KISS T-shirts and everything going on, and you know, so we visited there and signed autographs for everybody. We were there for an hour or two, and so this is really, you know, something that we really believe in, and you know, and live it too. So any chance we get, we salute our you know, our military, and we appreciate it, you know, rather than people being critical of these things, which is not right. You know, we're involved in certain things, and you know, we need to support our troops, and you know, 110%. Hands down. Yeah,
that's really cool. What other stories do you got of you know, your relationship with Gene and Paul? You know, being in the band and this kind of thing. Is there anything that's really surprised you about? You've been working with them so far, even so long, even before you were actually in the band. But
well, everybody in this band is, you know, everybody's truly a character in a lot of ways. I mean, you know, we've lived around and with each other for years now, and the great thing about the chemistry of the band right now is that it's very comfortable in that respect. We get along well. We actually enjoy being around each other when we travel, and you know, we all sit in the dressing room together and put makeup on every night and listen to music together, and you know, and joke and talk, and we have dinner together, and you know, most bands just don't do that, you know, especially on this level, and I know that because I've been around other situations, and this is unique that you've got a group of 4 guys that really live and breathe it together, and appreciate each other, you know, for starters. But you know, everybody's characters. I mean, Gene's, you know, the consummate, you know, go get 'em, you know, hard-working workaholic, really.
Yeah.
Very ambitious, and you know, he's got a million things he's trying to do all the time, and he says that vacations are for wimps and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, Paul Stanley is, you know, really the creative force behind the band. He's a very creative person, and that's really his strong point. I mean, he knows music inside out, and you could play rock trivia from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s with him, and he'd beat anybody. If you're talking about knowing any band that ever existed and what label their record came out on, I mean, he's an encyclopedia of knowledge in that respect. And Eric Singer is he's just a complete clown. I mean, he's so hyped up. He's really hyper, and he really drives everybody crazy, but in kind of an endearing way, though.
Yeah.
But he's just we call him the shit stirrer. So that says it all right there.
Yeah.
So we all it's hard for me to describe myself, because I think I'm a little quieter than maybe some of the other members of the band, and I just kind of go with the flow sometimes. Although when there's something important to be said, I like to say it. And so it's it's a great chemistry, and everybody's crazy, in a lot of ways. But that's kind of what makes a rock and roll band.
Yeah, that's got to be a really fun job to be a part of.
Well, we're all very fortunate to be able to do this, particularly on this level. I mean, people only dream about this, and if you appreciate that every day, you have the right attitude about that. You can go a long time on that, and
for sure.
Don't screw yourself up like a lot of other people do.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to think. You probably are running short on time.
Maybe just another.
A couple minutes here. What is there plans then to maybe record again sometime, or are you going to be on the road forever? Or it took so long between the last two albums for the band.
Well, there was a lot of time between the last two albums, and there's real good reasons for that.
Yeah, I can understand.
I suppose. But on the other hand, with the way things have gone with Sonic Boom in such a positive way, and the allocates and the response has been so amazing that I've already heard talk between us, and this is not official, that we're going to do another one here before too long. And it's not going to be another 11 years, that's for sure. I could see us starting to work on new stuff here pretty soon, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And, but again, that's not an official proclamation about anything. But I think that good chance you'll see something like that happen soon. But we kind of just take it 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. We're not, we don't have a 10-year plan all planned out here for KISS or anything. But and I think it's better to keep loose and nimble and flexible in that regard, because you never know how things go, but things are going on a great track and a great path, and
and I mean you guys aren't getting younger.
no, we're not getting younger, but
it's pretty impressive. I mean, I saw that birthday episode.
We're still young. We're still younger than the Rolling Stones and the Who, though.
And if they can keep going, why not? Is there ever thoughts of scaling it down again, like the acoustic, like the conventions and the acoustic performances, that kind of thing?
Well, that's interesting. It's always possible to scale something down and do something intimate on a limited scale, but really that's not what we're all about. I mean, what we're always trying to do is blow it up and make it bigger. And when we go out, we want it to be more expansive and more over the top than the time before, and that's just really what the KISS show is all about. So our instinct is to take it the other direction and blow it up and make it as big as possible, rather than downscaling and let's play a small place and make it intimate. Although those kind of scenarios we've done before on a very limited occasion, just for special circumstances, when it's pretty effective when you scale it down.
And I think it's a cool time to maybe hear some of the songs you don't always play. I think that's been another kind of something like they talk a lot about on the net, is sort of the song list tends to kind of stay the same.
Well, I think a lot of people, especially the ones that have been with the band for so long, they have a fantasy about. I mean, I get people sending me
requests,
that list requests and ideas every day. It's like, and everybody kind of has their fantasy of what it should be about. But you have to trust us that when we put together a set list, it's going to be the most high energy, keep the crowd going, and really at the end of the day accomplish what everybody wants better than maybe what somebody else might think that they have in mind, because when you start talking about let's throw in all these obscure songs, one individual or a couple individuals might want to hear that, but the masses it'll die.
Some of us want you to play The Elder all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have seriously mentioned that before, and it's like if we did that, it would be, it would be a funeral march.
Yeah, the troops might turn on you.
yeah. You got to keep them happy, but that's the most difficult thing, because there's so many songs that are undeniable that have to be in the set list. Yeah, and people are expecting, especially. The masses, and it's just a fine, delicate line you always have to keep in mind. And if we play the same songs, consistently, it's not because we don't want to play other songs or we can't play other songs. I mean, we can play anything in the repertoire if we want, but it's just, you really have to dissect that thing and make the right decision and what works best for everybody.
You want to play your best stuff. Well, I did
out there playing for 18,000 people. Yeah, you need to pick the best and pick the right songs for those, for that crowd.
Yeah, you don't want them to be going off to to get beer every other song because they don't like.
Well, they will, because if you play something that nobody knows, that's when they'll head out and get a beer or go, look at T-shirts.
Yeah, I saw a teaser though. There was a teaser on this last, I think maybe a couple months ago. Paul played like a few bars of Shandy, and me and my friends, we got really excited. We were like, man, are they going to do that? But it doesn't look like you're playing that right now.
Well, not right now, and it's just another example of what are you not going to play if you're going to be adding things like that? And we like to throw a little teaser in now and then just to let people know we haven't forgot about great songs like Shandy or I Stole Your Love or whatever it may be.
Well, if for what it's worth, I would 86 Crazy Nights and put in Shandy because that's.
Well, we put Crazy Nights into the set starting in Europe and the UK, actually specifically earlier this year, and it was gangbusters over there because it was a huge hit in the late 80s in the UK and parts of Europe. And so it was, it's going over great, and we just kept it in there because, it's a great song, and we love doing it, and, the response is really good, too. So, I'm sure at some point we'll get something else going, but that was the kind of the genesis behind Crazy Nights being in the set again, because it was such a huge hit over there, and the place went berserk when we played it. So
yeah, that's really cool. In the UK. I'm just giving you a hard time. Well, one last thing I'll have you do here, maybe because we'll use some of this audio, and you could maybe say something about the show. It's September 4th at the Minnesota State Fair, and just a shout out to the fans, like come on down, we'll see you there, that kind of thing.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Hey everybody, this is Tommy Thayer from KISS. We will be looking for you at the let me do it one more time. Sorry.
Minnesota State Fair.
Yeah, I got it. Sorry. Hey everybody, it's Tommy Thayer from KISS, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the Minnesota State Fair right there, Saturday, September 4th, right in Minneapolis, and we're going to rock it up and tear it down. Be there.
Okay, that was cool, except for it's actually in St. Paul, which is like across the river. But don't worry about the city. Just say, Minnesota State Fair.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, everybody, this is Tommy Thayer from KISS, and I just want to let you know we're looking to see you at the Minnesota State Fair on Saturday, September 4th. Be there because we're going to tear it up. Rock on.
Perfect. All right, Tommy, thank you so much.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I'm glad that you were able to get back to me. I was for a minute because I just got that recording a couple times. So.
Yeah, no worries. I was this was kind of last minute. She sent me the email like late last night, so I was like, all right, well, I'll be there. But
when's it supposed to hit the city pages?
It'll be out like the Wednesday before the show, and but we'll do some teasers because there's a lot of material, so I can. We'll do a lot of stuff online as well. So like that audio thing, like it's all about getting people into these different mediums, the online, the print, and everything. So
multimedia, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys, and if there's any opportunity, maybe we can meet up at the show or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. You're going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm I'm emailing somebody, Shannon, who I think is taking care of the passes and stuff. So I don't know if you guys do meet and greets, but if
we do. It just depends. I mean, when you get there, just try to say, hey, I'm Danny from the City Pages, and Tommy said he wanted to say hi.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. And either way, thank you so much, and have a great tour.
Yeah, really enjoyed it, Danny.
Thanks, Tommy.
Okay, thanks.